Good. Thank you for watching our info session about Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston's Homeownership Program and our upcoming Roslindale projects. Pre-applications open on Tuesday, February 4th. You can submit them until March 4th. So this meeting is being recorded, so we're just going to jump right in. So a little bit about Habitat for Humanity International. Habitat for Humanity International is an international organization that works in all 50 states and across 70 different countries. Their vision is a world in which everybody has a decent place to live. And Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston is one affiliate under the Habitat International umbrella. It's kind of a common misconception that Jimmy Carter started Habitat for Humanity. This is actually not true. He's just our most famous volunteer. Habitat for Humanity was actually founded in 1976 by a man named Millard Fuller. But we are very grateful for all of the volunteering and all of the attention that Jimmy Carter brought to Habitat for Humanity. Here are some examples of the different types of homes that Habitat builds around the world. And then here's a little bit more about us, Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston. So like I mentioned, we are an affiliate of Habitat International, and we are a nonprofit that's dedicated to building and selling homes to individuals who are earning a low to moderate income and families. We've been operating for over 35 years, and we've worked with over 125 families. And here's a little photo of our service area. So this is the Greater Boston area where we work. It includes the city of Boston and then 25 of the surrounding towns and cities. All of the red dots that you see on this map are projects that have already been built or are currently in our pipeline. So you can see we have 2 dots in Roslindale because we already have completed a build there. But the second dot is for this project that we are currently working on. And now I'm going to pass it off to Cecilia to talk a little bit more about the benefits of homeownership.
Hello, I'm Cecilia. I'm one of the other people in our homeowner services department. So some of the benefits for homeownership are stability, community, and generational wealth. The stability of also just rent the stability of having a mortgage instead of having rent go up, and having one place that you can stay for a long time. Community, especially with our style of housing, being condos, we'll get into that a bit more later. But you really have an opportunity to connect to your neighbors. And then, of course, the opportunity of generational wealth. So a little bit more about our home ownership program. So Habitat offers affordable mortgages. Our program's a bit longer. It'll go about 1.5 to 2.5 years from applying. That's from submitting your application to keys in the door. The length of this time usually is because our applicants are actually building their homes with our construction crew, or spending their time volunteering at our restore. We'll get into sweat equity hours in a little bit later. To qualify for our program, there's 3 basic criteria. There's your need for housing. We describe need as, we describe need as, thank you. Examples of including overcrowding, like there's too many people in your home, unsafe, which can refer to you don't have heating in the winter, you have leaks, you have infestations, different things like that. Or the most common need is just the cost of living. Your rent is too expensive, which we consider too expensive as 30% of your gross monthly household income, or if you can't qualify for a conventional mortgage. The second thing we consider for our criteria is your ability to pay. Another common misconception with Habitat is that we give homes away. That's not true. We sell them at an affordable mortgage. So to qualify, you will need to have worked or lived in our service area for at least 12 months, meet the income guidelines, which we'll have later in this presentation, and demonstrate stable income for the past 2 years, as evidence that you could pay an affordable mortgage. And then also additionally, a credit score of at least 640, legal residency, and the ability to pass criminal background checks and a sex offender registry check. And then continued with that, this is our income guidelines. So we, in our applications, are looking at the household income, not just for one person, but for anyone 18 years and older in your household. And then the third criteria that we have is a willingness to partner with Habitat. Like I said earlier, this is a bit of a longer process, and we really do want to be partners with you through it. We offer affordable mortgage, but we also want to support our applicants and households into that experience of home ownership. So one of the things I was mentioning earlier, the actual construction of your home. It's a very cool opportunity to actually say you built your home with your own hands. And that comes with our sweat equity opportunity of 2 hours, 200 hours, and either on-site learning construction skills with our crew. You'll also be attending first-time home buying classes with other selected applicants in your association. So our Roslindale homes are 4 units. There's 2 units per building. And so you have your neighbors and you get to go through this experience as a community. And then also we ask as your partnership to keep Habitat updated regarding your financial changes, as things can change financially between 2 years. So we talked a little bit more about the sweat equity. Every selected household is required to complete 200 hours of that construction. We also have accommodations for doing that at the Restore, which is our secondhand store that Habitat owns. And sweat equity is distributable to anyone 18 years or older in your household. It doesn't just have to be one person. And then, yeah, you can also complete them at the Restore, and these hours are over the next 2 years. Just some general information for what our construction situation looks like. Awesome. This is, again, our Restore, currently located in West Roxbury. Awesome. And then we also have pre-purchase classes, first-time homebuyer classes. So we're requiring our families to finish these courses with agencies certified by the Massachusetts Home Ownership Collaborative. And we'll work with each family to identify which classes need to be taken. And then one of our other eligibility requirements is we're really interested in helping with first-time home buying. So we define being a first-time home buyer as not having owned a home within the last 3 years. Another requirement that we have is the household has to have less than 100,000 in financial assets. Chloe's going to talk a bit about our application process.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Cecilia. So we have made a couple changes to our application process for anybody who has submitted an application for one of our projects in the past. For this project, we will be utilizing a pre-application. So it's required in order to participate in our program, everybody needs to submit a pre-application. So that's available on our website, habitatboston.org. And we're also able to provide copies in the office on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So a little bit about the application process. Once you have an application all filled out, you also need to to gather all of the required documents. A list of everything that's required is included in the pre-application. And then you'll need to submit all this information to Habitat. So you can either do this online through Dropbox, you can do it through the mail, or you can do it at our office at designated times. So again, on the pre-application, there are details about when we'll be accepting applications in the office. Unfortunately, at this time, we cannot accept applications through email. So if you want to submit them online, right now we're using Dropbox. So once we receive all of the completed pre-applications, we will begin reviewing them and determine whether people are eligible to move on or whether they're ineligible. So if the basic qualifications on the pre-application are met, we will send you a full application to complete and submit to us. We'll request a little bit of additional documentation and just ask a few clarifying questions that weren't included in the pre-application. If the qualifications are not met following our review of the pre-application, you will receive a letter from us explaining exactly what qualification was not met. And we definitely encourage everybody to continue applying to future projects if you do not meet the current qualifications at this time. So for everybody that received the full application, we'll do the same thing and review that. And then everybody who is eligible after the full application review will receive contact from us to set up an interview. This is sort of a time for both Habitat and applicants to get to learn more about each other. So we can ask any clarifying questions, or if there's any information that we were interested in learning more about from the application or pre-application, that's a time to do that. And it's also a time for applicants to make sure that they understand every aspect of the program and that they would like to continue forward. So we definitely encourage people to ask lots of questions at that time. Following the interviews, all eligible applicants will be entered into a lottery, and that's how we will do the final selection for these 4 Roslindale homes. Once we finish up the lottery, we'll notify everybody who is selected, and our board of directors will give their final approval. So here's a little bit more information on the documentation that we're going to be looking for with the pre-application. So we're going to be looking for the completed pre-application form, copies of the 5 most recent pay stubs for everybody who's over 18 and earning an income in the household. And then we're also going to be looking for the 2022 and 2023 tax returns for, again, anyone in the household who's over 18 and earning an income. If people just started working and they only have 1 year of tax returns, just submit what you have. And now we're going to switch up a little bit to get into the documentation that we'll be looking for on the full application. So here we'll be looking for the last 3 consecutive months of statements from all financial assets. We'll be looking for documentation of any public assistance that anybody receives in the household, such as child support, alimony, Social Security, that type of thing. And then we'll also be looking for identification documentation. So in order to participate in our homeownership program, people need to be a legal resident of the United States. So this is the list of all of the different types of documentation that we will accept to fulfill that requirement. And a few tips. Make sure that you submit all of the documentation and fill out the entire pre-application. We cannot accept incomplete applications. So make sure that you're double checking and using the required documentation checklist to make sure that you're submitting everything. Make sure that you read the whole application at the end before signing. There are a couple authorizations at the end that ask for signatures. So just make sure that you're reading through those disclosures. And then lastly, just make sure that you're submitting documentation for everybody who's over 18 in the household and earning an income. Even if they're not going to necessarily be contributing to mortgage payments, we still need to have a full picture of the household income. So make sure you send in all that information. So following the lottery and final approval of our board of directors, those households that are selected into our program will all participate in an orientation meeting, and then they will be sent off to sort of go complete their sweat equity hours and first-time home buying classes. Habitat will be here throughout the whole process to make sure people are able to find classes, coordinate the classes that we're teaching in-house, and make sure, again, that we're keeping in contact throughout this whole process so that we're aware of any financial changes that occur. Once the homes are very close to being completed, Habitat Greater Boston will do a second financial review. So we'll ask for a lot of the same documentation that was submitted in the application process. And this will help us be able to actually set the price of the home and ensure that people still meet all of the program requirements when the homes are close to being finished up. So after we do that review and discuss the home price, people will just need to pay their closing costs. We'll have a whole closing with a lot of signing of documents, and then they'll be able to have a home dedication ceremony and move in. Closing costs. So at this time, we are asking for people in our program to be able to save $7,000 by the completion of the program to cover closing costs. Closing costs include expenses like tax escrow, title insurance, government stamp, and recording fees. So the way that it will work is that people in our program will ensure that they have $7,000 at closing, and this $7,000 will go towards closing costs and down payment. Um, and it's not something that people need to have when they're applying. Again, it's just by the end of the program, people will need to have $7,000 saved to cover these costs. And now I'm going to give you a little bit more information on what an affordable mortgage is for Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston. So at this time, there's not really a selling price that we can tell you about the homes because the way that we price the homes is based on household income. So when we're collecting those financial documents closer to closing, it's so that we can have a sense of household income so that we can set the price of the home so that 30% of the monthly income is going towards housing costs, which include mortgage payments, real estate tax payments, homeowners insurance, and condo fees. So all of those together will not be over 30% of the gross monthly income at the time of closing. So this can be a little bit confusing, so I'm going to walk you through a numerical example. So let's say that there's a household of four currently earning $90,000 a year. So divide that by 12. That means that they are taking in $7,500 a month. And so Habitat says that we believe you have 30% of that, which is $2,250 to cover all of the housing costs, which again include mortgage payments, homeowners insurance, real estate taxes, and condo fees. So we will use that amount to actually set the price of the home and ensure that nobody is paying over 30% of their monthly income in housing costs at closing. Just a couple important notes about the homes. So these houses must be owner occupied. That means that you're not allowed to rent them out. You're not allowed to operate a business that has customers coming and going in the homes. You are allowed to work remotely if you have a remote job. Another note is that Habitat Greater Boston will have the right of first refusal. Basically, that just means that if at any point the homeowner is looking to sell, they have to notify Habitat and give us the opportunity to purchase the home back before they're able to sell it to another buyer. There are resale restrictions on these homes, so we'll have some more details about that, but these are affordability restrictions that are enforced by the city of Boston, just to ensure that the homes will remain available for people that are earning low to moderate incomes in the long term. And then lastly, these homes, as we mentioned, will be forming a condo association. So the biggest aspects of that are that monthly condo fees will be due to the condo association. And also there will be shared decision making about all the property that's owned by the condo, which we'll get into. So first, the deed restriction. These homes will have what's called a deed rider covenant for affordable housing. Again, like I said, this is a restriction that's enforced by the city of Boston, and the purpose is to ensure that there is stock of affordable housing throughout the city. So there's also an owner-occupied requirement here, which shouldn't be a problem because all Habitat homes have to remain owner-occupied through the life of the mortgage. The maximum resale price will be calculated by the city. So again, if these households want to sell, the first step will be to reach out to the city of Boston and figure out what the maximum resales price is. There is a formula that's sort of baked into the deed where the home is able to appreciate by a small amount every year. However, the homeowners are not allowed to sell these homes out on the regular market. They have to go through the city of Boston. And the city of Boston will help ensure that the homes are sold to buyers who are earning a low to moderate income. Yep. And then the condo association. So these four homes will be condominiums. What that means is that everything within the four walls is owned by the individual household, that family. They have all the control about how they paint the walls and how they design everything within the four walls. Everything outside of the four walls of the home are owned by the condo association, which is made up of homeowners. So if any changes are going to be made to something like the roof or the siding or lawns, those are actually referred to as common elements that the whole condo association owns. So again, the condo association is made up of homeowners, so it's not like somebody from outside will be making decisions, but because it's made up of the group, decisions about these common elements need to be agreed upon by the majority of homeowners. Every month, the households will need to pay a condo fee to the condo association that will cover expenses like shared utilities, landscaping and snow removal, property insurance, any repairs or maintenance that need to get done, and property management or bookkeeping if the condo association chooses to employ those services. The way that that will work is that from the start, all of the condo associations will be set up with a property manager, but Habitat will provide a lot of information on management options, and the condo association will be able to make the decision to be self-managed if they choose to do so. Where are we building? So now we're going to get into a little bit more information on the 4 homes that we'll be building on Walter Street in Roslindale. So the addresses are going to go from 104 to 106R. So we'll have 104, 104A, 104R, and 106R. We'll be building 2 structures, and each building will have 2 homes inside. Each will have 1 2-bedroom and 1 3-bedroom. And then one of the 3-bedroom homes is going to be designed to meet Americans with Disabilities Act standards. So it will be accessible. And then each home is going to have 1 off-street parking space. So a total of 4. Here we have an example of one of the buildings. So there's a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom home here. You can see on the bottom left, this is a little picture of the basement. So both units will have basement access. And then on the bottom right, there is the first floor plan. So this is the 2-bedroom unit. You can see in the yellow squares are the bedrooms, and then there's a kitchen and living room and a bathroom. And then right above that, on the top right is the 3rd floor. Oh, sorry. On the top left is the 2nd floor. Here is the first part of the 3-bedroom unit. So you can see there's 1 bedroom, the kitchen and living space, and a half bath. And then on the top right, we have 2 more bedrooms, a full bathroom, and then a little bit of extra hallway space. These are actually decks and porches, these sort of black and white spaces on the exterior of the units. So there will be some porch access. All right, and that's all we have. We definitely encourage you to follow our social media to make sure that you are staying updated. Definitely check out our website, habitatboston.org. And if you head to habitatboston.org/apply, that's where you can access our actual pre-application. We do want to mention that we are an equal opportunity housing provider, so we don't discriminate on any protected bases. And then we definitely want to encourage you to reach out with any questions. If you want to reach out via email, here's the best email address, homeownership@habitatboston.org. If you want to reach out by phone, we're the Homeowner Services Department, so you can dial in to extension 6717, and then there's just our website again. This was a lot of information, so we're expecting questions, and we encourage people to ask whatever they have. There's never too many questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.